scariest part of awakening is that you can no longer be the old you. You can no longer unsee what you have seen. And many times what happens is things have to change. People in your relationships have to change. Your career and your work life has to change. The things that you find passion in have to change. Why? Because awakening is a spiritual awakening. Awakening is a process of you no longer being this third dimension version of you. And that gets scary. It gets scary because the entire life that you have constructed was constructed from the old you, the fear-based you, the scared you. I'm here to encourage you if you're going through this right now and let you know that you have the courage within you to overcome any of the obstacles and challenges that you're facing when it comes to your awakening journey. And the more and more that you heal, the more and more that you release, and the more and more that you heal, and the more and more that you release the control of the mind and the ego, the more and more that you allow yourself to tap into your heart, your intuition, your true power. And what I can promise you is this: life gets 100 times more abundant, 100 times easier, and 100 times more in flow when you have awakened. Once you face that fear, once you let go of what no longer serves you, and once you step into the new you and your new life.
Things that tend to happen when you start to become a little more spiritually sensitive or start having a spiritual awakening. One, you will find that your body starts to become more sensitive. The things that used to be fine with you aren't so fine with you. You start to see a lot of people that can't really handle drinking anymore, can't really smoke as much anymore because you start getting anxiety, right? There are substances and things that just make you not feel so good. That's because your soul's elevating, your frequency is elevating. You start to feel things at a deeper level, and these things that when they're not good for you, especially if they're not done in moderation or whatever, obviously I'm like not talking about the crazy shit, they hit you stronger. You start to just become more sensitive to energy, to people, to environments. Foods that used to work with you don't work with you anymore because it's your body calling on you to raise your frequency. And these things that used to hold you back, when you don't eat clean, when you don't treat your body well, when you don't work out, when you don't take care of yourself, it starts to take a toll on you. And that goes on to number two. You'll find that you start to outgrow your environment. Things don't really fit the same. It's almost like you're outgrowing your clothes, or your home doesn't feel good. Just something feels weird. The friends you used to hang out with, it doesn't hit the same. The things you used to do for fun, it just doesn't resonate with you anymore because you're stepping into a higher timeline. You're stepping into a different reality. The more you start to elevate, it's like little tweaks in your reality, right? Your body's gonna start letting you know, this isn't for you anymore. This isn't for you anymore. This isn't for you anymore. Number three, the obvious. You start to see fucking spiritual signs everywhere. It almost starts to piss you off because you're like, what does it mean? Like, it drives you crazy. Don't be alarmed. Some people like to overcomplicate it and be like, it's because you're doing something wrong. It's because it's not. A lot of the times, yeah, your spirit team is gonna have its unique message with you, and it's up to you to really tap in and listen. And most of the times, it's them just letting you know we're here. We're trying to get your attention so that you start to pay attention. Numbers, whether it's like your birthday, you start seeing 1111, 111, 222, receipts, prices, car license plates. Usually when you start seeing signs like that everywhere, it's because things are elevating and things are about to change. And the last one that a lot of people get stuck on, you go into a little bit of spiritual arrogance. And I think everybody experienced this for a little bit, especially when you first wake up, because you start to feel like, you start to hear this lingo a lot that I'm not a huge fan of this chosen one. People that are meant to wake up in this life, help other people wake up in this life. Because majority of the world isn't woken up, there are people who start to think like this makes you special when everybody is capable of waking up. People that have spiritual arrogance where they think that everything has to be high energy, everything has to be love and light. People that aren't in their same frequency are bad for them. Being spiritual and being balanced is knowing how to play the game in this 3D world. And so it's having one foot in and one foot out, right? You really aren't shit. You're just another extension of God.
Do you ever get that nagging feeling that something inside you doesn't quite match the name on your driver's license? Yeah. Well, that's where awakening actually begins. You see, we spend our whole lives thinking that we're this body, this bundle of habits and memories and jobs and anxieties, this sack of meat with a social security number. But if you slow down long enough, you start to notice something strange. There's a you watching all of this. The thoughts, the emotions, the aches and pains, they're happening in front of you like weather. And you're the one witnessing all of this. That watcher, that ain't you on your ID card. The person printed on that plastic card was built, conditioned, told who to be, what to believe, how to behave. Parents, church, classmates, politicians, a whole parade of voices stacked inside your head like old boxes in an attic. Awakening is when you gently look at all of that mess and you whisper, wait a minute, none of this is actually me. First big step, detachment from the character that you've been playing. Now this is important. Don't force anything. Folks get all worked up trying to reach enlightenment like they're chasing a coupon sale at Walmart. Awakening comes naturally when you stop grabbing at everything like it's a rope you're dragging through the mud. Instead, watch, breathe, notice. When anger flares up, instead of saying, I'm mad as hell, try something like, there's anger happening. Feel the difference? One's a prison and the other is a visitation. You're not your thoughts. You're not your trauma. You're not even your body. You're the one experiencing all of this. And when you start seeing that, something beautiful happens. The fear loosens. You stop taking everything so bloody personal. You stop letting other people's nonsense rewrite your own destiny. Your heart gets lighter, your intuition gets louder, and slowly, you remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Don't push it. Don't meditate 6 hours a day hoping for fireworks behind your eyelids. Awakening ain't an event. It's a noticing, a remembrance, like hearing a song that you've already known, always known. You're a soul having a human experience, not a human reaching for a soul. And once that finally sinks in, life changes, my friend.
Spiritual awakening is losing your mind. When people go through a spiritual awakening, we often say things like, it feels like I'm losing my damn mind. And the truth is that you are, but not in the way that you've been taught to fear. You are losing your mind because the mind is the ego. Awakening is an ego death. And in order to be a clear vessel aligned with God, source, spirit, you cannot stay trapped in the mind. The mind is nothing but a bunch of layers of conditioning and programming. And when those layers start to break down, it feels like you're losing your mind. The synchronicities, the feeling everything deeply, the crying, it feels like madness. But what's actually happening is you're dissolving the false self. You're losing the conditioning, not your soul. You are becoming more of who you actually are, which is spirit. So yeah, you must lose your mind. There's no awakening without it because the ego pretends that it's in control. It wants to act like it's God, but at the same time, it convinces you that you are not God. It keeps you spinning in illusions. So losing your mind is not insanity, it's actual liberation. People who are still veiled, still under the weight of their own ego, they'll call you crazy because they can't see past their own layers. They still identify with the mind, so it makes sense. They haven't lost theirs yet. But you, when you lose the mind, you remember. You start remembering that you are spirit, that you are source, that you are God embodied. So when we start awakening, we don't have to fear the unraveling that's happening. Don't fear the loss of what you think is you, because that's not you. That's actually a mask, the conditioning, the shadows. A spiritual awakening is remember who you truly are. And to remember, you must lose your mind.
So here's something else that they don't tell you when you're having a spiritual awakening. They don't tell you about the sadness that happens, the sense of loss that you have, the depression that kicks in, the anxiety that kicks in, and even other mental health issues that come along with awakening. And the reason that these things come up is because when you go through this spiritual awakening, you feel everything. You feel more. You feel happiness at levels that you have never felt, and you feel sadness at levels that you've never felt. So in my awakening, the first thing that I awakened to was myself. And so when you awaken to yourself, you see yourself as you truly are. And sometimes that's a very sobering experience, because I started to recognize the low vibrational behaviors in me. And I looked at those and I became sad about that. I became sad about the people that I've harmed before and things that I've done that were not right. As if that's not enough, then you start having an awakening about the people around you, the people that are close to you. And that's another sad episode that happens. So you have the sadness from yourself, you have the sadness from the people around you. And then the next step is you start looking at the world. You start looking at this planet. You feel the pain of this planet. You feel the pain of people. As you walk around, you can literally feel the energy of other people. And so all of this feeling that you're having can become overwhelming to your system, which is why we go into the places of depression or anxiety or sadness or feeling a sense of loss. It's actually normal. I want you to know that if you're having a spiritual awakening, it is going to affect you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's going to affect you because you don't become in tune with this world and not be affected by it. And so I remember going through this process, and then I also remember just feeling like, oh my gosh, I just want to go into a cave and just stay away from everybody and become isolated. And I did do that for a while, but I also had to realize that that was a season and I was not supposed to stay in isolation, because awakening to higher levels of consciousness is not given to you for you to go into a cave and die. It's given to you so that you can remember who you are, so that you can alchemize and transmute all the pain, all the issues, everything, and for you to turn all of that into light. Now, that light is not meant to stay in a cave. That light is meant to be shined throughout this world. Not in a way where we force light into people's faces. We simply just walk through our lives shining the light. And whoever is interested in that light, they'll come to you.
Listen, family, here's another reason why you shouldn't even be trying to wake people up. When they say that a person wakes up on their own time when they're ready, there's a deeper meaning behind this. You got to understand, the themes of your life was already planned out. Some people, they're not meant to wake up. That is not what their higher self wants for them. Think about it like this. Really put into perspective. Let's say you and a bunch of beings say, all right, we're going to incarnate into this world as this species. And some of y'all say, I want to go through a path of enlightenment. Then some say, I want to be a professional tennis player. One being says, I want to be a chef and have a family. Like my whole point is, not every being wants to wake up. And some people may think, well, why wouldn't they? Some souls just want to live out their lives the way it was meant to be lived out. They will wake up eventually. It might not be this lifetime. If you have woken up in this lifetime, you are an old soul. Listen, and most people really don't understand what that means. There's a misconception of the meaning old soul. I promise you, if you are a conscious being, you are an old soul. There are things that you need to go through in the physical experience, and that usually takes lifetimes before your soul is even thinking of the idea of you walking on this path. At least in this time and age, in this realm that we're currently in. Because here's the thing about time. You know what? I'm going to save that for another video. We ain't even going to talk about the concept of time. But it is very simple. Now, I'm going to use a quote that I had said once before. If I set my alarm clock at 9 a.m. and you set your alarm clock at 7 a.m. and before I went to bed, I said like, yo, I don't want to wake up before 9 a.m. by any means necessary. Like 9 a.m. is the time I want to wake up. That's it. That's what I want. Then when your alarm goes off at 7 a.m., but this is the thing, you didn't know that my alarm was set for 9 a.m. You didn't know like that's the time I wanted to wake up and that's it. So when you wake up at 7 a.m. and you're amazed at what your eyes are seeing, you're just so happy to be awake. And then you see someone who's sleeping, you're like, oh my God, I got to wake them up too. They got to experience this as well. But it's 7 a.m. Your alarm was set for 7 a.m. I wanted to wake up at 9. If you come waking me up at 7 before my alarm, what is the natural reaction? It's not going to be a positive one. I'm probably not going to be open to you. I'm probably going to go back to sleep.
So I have been going through like a full-blown awakening over the past few weeks of understanding on such a deep level the powers that we all hold within and how silenced science has been with pretty much keeping this a secret to us. Keeping it a secret of our abilities to literally fucking make atoms collapse into matter in a specific way based on the way that we are thinking and feeling. And I know this is the basics of manifestation. I know this is like the basics of all woo-woo. But when you dive into the science of this and you learn on an atomic level what is happening through consciousness, through thought, through the energy that we are emitting into the field, it is mind-blowing to actually understand on a deep fucking level how powerful we all are. And I do not say this lightly. Like, I hope you can tell in the tone of my voice that this is stuff that every single person deserves to know. So you're going to see my content really shift and change because I am going to be injecting a lot of this science, this metaphysical understanding that I now have of like what happens when our consciousness focuses on an intention and puts out a certain emotion. Like, yes, I know, again, this is the basics of manifestation, but I'm going to try and share it from a way of giving you more insight information on the science side of it so that you can ground into a stronger level of belief. And with that belief, your powers are only going to grow stronger. I shouldn't say grow stronger because they're already there. You're going to tap into them more. So the first thing I want to share, I'll share something in this video, is that we have this understanding that when we are chasing a dream or chasing a desire or going after something or shifting into a new reality or calling something in, we think that it's out there in the future, right? We think that there's distance between where we are now and where that thing is. But the now is the only moment that will ever exist. Like on a quantum scale, when you think about all the realities that are existing at once, it's all happening in the now. So that reality that you're calling in, the thing that you think is out there in the future, is actually already existing, but it hasn't yet collapsed into form because it hasn't found the resonance of your body and energetic field to create that match where you are then perceiving that reality in your now. So the way that you draw that thing in, the way that you make that collapse into form and become your reality is by becoming that energy, by perceiving in your reality that it's already there, by trusting that it's already yours, and by being so freaking grateful for all that you have in your now so that you bring your energy and connect into your heart space that creates such a strong electromagnetic field where when you combine that intention and that energy, that reality becomes the one that you are in. All of a sudden you're perceiving and seeing everything in front of you as, whoa, it's already here. Okay, I'll leave this here because I'm going to get way too deep into this, but just know that there is way more of this to come. You and I are going to go on a journey of fully remembering your fucking power, and it is going to change everything.
What I'm going to say is going to go against a lot of what spiritual people say here on TikTok. And it's because they overcomplicate what is the simplest thing to do in life. And I just want to shed light on the simple truth that will finally set you free. People think that spirituality means that you have to do something or become something or renounce something. It's not about crystals. It's not about going up to a monastery and letting go of all pleasures. It's not about letting go of life and goals. It's not about astrology. It's not about zodiac signs. It's not about meditation. It's not about the third eye, raising your vibrations, manifestation, retreats, ayahuasca. It's not about wearing spiritual clothing, beads, jewelry. It's not about tarot cards. It's not about 5D, ascension, astral travel. It's not about psychedelics, and it's not even about Group 7. It is much more simple than any of this. Now here's the first truth bomb. Any of these things are okay to do as a means of experience, but they will keep you trapped if you do it as a means to awaken or to find liberation. Because all this is the ego sneaking in through the back door, dressed in spiritual clothing, now making the pursuit about the spiritual journey. It's creating spiritual boxes for you to check off. It doesn't matter if you want to become a Buddhist monk or a rock star. It doesn't matter how you dress. It doesn't matter what you decide to do or what path you take. Anyone can be truly liberated because it's not about what you do in the external. It's not about what you become in the external. It's not about you. There is no you. Spirituality is as simple as this. Are you seeing through the veil of the illusion? That's it. No matter what you do in your life, are you seeing through the veil? Are you seeing through the filter? Are you experiencing the raw reality that is unfolding in front of you without the veil? Or are you still identified with the illusion? Pursuing the things that you think are spiritual is going to keep you trapped because you're keeping the veil alive. It is just a spiritual veil. Once you see through it, you are awakened. And no matter what you decide to do in life, you will be free.
You know, one of the strangest and most delightful paradoxes of existence is that we spend our lives trying to explain to others what cannot be said. We try to pass on the fragrance of an invisible flower and then feel disappointed when no one seems to smell it. But awakening, my friends, is not a matter of being told. It is something that happens like a seed quietly cracking open in the dark. It does not require persuasion, nor argument, nor proof. It ripens. The great mistake is to imagine that you can awaken another by telling them what you have seen. You cannot. You may whisper to them about the mountain, but until they have climbed it, they cannot know its air. You can describe the sea to a man who has never left the desert, but he will still imagine sand beneath his feet. There are some truths that cannot be given. They must be born in the heart of the listener. There are things, deep things, that should not be spoken to those who have not yet begun to stir from their sleep. It is not because they are unworthy, but because they are not yet ready. The fruit falls only when it is ripe. To speak of certain things before their time is like planting a seed in winter. It will simply freeze in the ground. The first of these unspeakable things concerns what you call yourself. For most people, the idea of I is sacred. It is the little point around which their entire universe spins. They wake and say, I am here. They sleep and dream, I was there. And the story continues from one page to the next. It gives the feeling of solidity, of control, of purpose. And yet, for one who has looked deeply, this I begins to dissolve. Like mist in the morning sun, it fades when you try to grasp it. It was never a solid thing, only a pattern in motion. Like a whirlpool in the stream, there is movement, there is shape, but no separate substance. The water is never the same, and yet the whirlpool seems to remain. Now, if you tell this to someone who still believes they are the author of their life, they will be frightened. They will hold on tighter. They will defend this sense of me as if their very existence depended upon it, because to them it does. So you must not tell them. Let them play their part. Let them fight, win, lose, love, and suffer. For the play must be acted before the actor realizes it was only a play. Only when the game of being someone has been played long enough does the player begin to suspect that he was never separate from the stage.